This week from the Wuhan Open, we've got some of the most difficult shots I've seen in some time to deal with, as well as some dodgy camera work and the referees getting in the way a little bit. But despite all of this, we're going to still decide which shot is best, as usual, by recreating all of them as accurately as possible and then playing them in the fewest possible attempts. But we begin with Junhui, who took the title, winning his first tournament 17 years after first getting on tour. This shot in the final allowed him to make the clearance and take a 3-1 lead, after he's able to pot this black down the cushion. The pink itself requires a lot of cue power, and needs to be struck a good deal better than that. I was a bit surprised how much you had to stretch on this one, and also a little bit surprised I managed to get it there on my second attempt. In fact, I'm in such good position on it, I even fancy knocking it down the cushion with a cobweb-covered half-butt. This definitely hasn't been used in some time. Well, that's a good start. I was worried for a minute I didn't have enough cue power. Hang on a minute, this isn't my cue. Here we go. Right, so when Judd finally got his cue back, he was able to take on John Higgins. And he's taking a 3-1 lead here, playing this excellent exhibition shot round the table off the pink, despite being slightly hampered by the red. Judd will obviously win this frame and take a 3-1 lead, and eventually take the match by 5 frames to 2. Wow, I'm surprised to have gone in off there because I didn't think I was striking low on the cue ball at all. And I'm even more surprised it's gone in off the second time because I was making sure I struck the cue ball above centre that time. It's clear after my third attempt that if you hit the white high enough you won't go in off, so this shot's definitely on. I was worried for just a second there that it wouldn't be, but I've now got to readjust to the shot, hitting it higher and get the right spin on the cue ball so it strikes the cushion just before the middle pocket. I was close there but just caught the green. I'd have probably been in pretty good position, but I wanted to have another go because I knew I could play it better. This looks pretty good. I've gone a little bit too far for the desired red, but I'm technically on both of them, so I'm calling that good enough. A mid-range screw shot for Jack Lisowski now, podding the long red and screwing the cue ball all the way back down the table. And he needs it as he's 2 frames to 0 down against Long Zhuang. He's able to take this frame, but ends up losing the match by 5 frames to 1. I think if I was forced into taking on a shot like this, I'd have to fully commit to it and play for the pink as a stun shot, because I think I'm far more likely to pot that than trying to screw the cue ball all the way back down the table. I've got it in 4 attempts though, which is pretty good for a mid-range shot like this. John Higgins now attempting to recover to 3-2 behind against Judd. Knocks this long red in past the blue, leaving himself in great position. Unfortunately for John, he'd lose this frame after making a mistake on the green, and doesn't make the clearance. This may take a while because I've judged it completely wrong on my first attempt coming out of the jaws. Although my second attempt's a lot better, I've seemed to have made the correction on it, and somehow I've got it on my third. That's a really good recovery there, and I'm pretty good for the blue. A difficult exhibition shot from Judd now. I said they were going to be tough. Here he manages to power the pink down the cushion, manoeuvring the cue ball off the side cushion, top cushion, and back out for the black. I'm going to really struggle to pot this one, and the position as well isn't going to make it any easier. But I did say these were pretty tough. Whenever you have to play a shot with power down the cushion, you have to be incredibly accurate. There's literally no margin for error, and this would be tough enough if I was playing a straight shot down the cushion, but because I'm over the other side of the table with a cue ball, I've got to get the angle spot on as well, and that's going to make things really difficult. As you can see, I'm also struggling to get the cue ball over to the top cushion, as the top spin I'm applying is making it arc towards the top cushion too much, so I effectively have to play this as a punch shot to reduce the amount of topspin on the cue ball and get the white to the side cushion. which I've managed to do. I've slightly overdone it, but I'm not going to have another go because I don't think I'm ever going to pot the pink again. Kyren Wilson's developed the red off the cushion, but unfortunately it's blocked into the easiest pocket. But he doesn't worry about this and just cuts it back into the yellow pocket and takes a 5-0 win against Aaron Hill here. He then loses in the next round, but he's a bit unfortunate to come up against Guodong, who was playing obviously really well in this tournament and only lost by 5 frames to 4. I've picked up the angle quite well there after just 3 attempts. I haven't quite got the cue ball back far enough, but that's the best I can do. Speaking of Guodong, he was excellent early on in the final. He can't see enough of the black here, but still manages to pot it off the cushion, even though the referee gets in the way a little bit. This gave him a 9 frame to 4 lead, meaning he only needed 1 more frame, and I'm interested to see how easy it's going to be to pick up the correct angle off the cushion. I haven't got it straight away, but after just a few shots, I'm already getting close. The only problem I'm having here is I can't really be any more accurate in the way I hit the cushion. I seem to be hitting the same place every time, yet it's still getting closer. I think I've got it now though. And 6 attempts feels about right. Judd Trump started excellently in his semi-final match against Jiahui, as this awkward red down the cushion shows. He was able to make 109 off this, although C hit back instantly with a 144, and then 2 frames later with a 147. Judd would eventually go on to lose the match by 6 frames to 2. I would have thought with my pockets I would have found this shot a little bit easier, but I am playing it with a fair amount of pace, which means I'm still going to have to be pretty accurate to get this right, and as you can see, even if I get close, that's not going to be good enough. I need a perfect shot for it to go in, and it's just about gone right. On to Chris Wakelin now, who's got a chance of making 3 total clearances in a row against Ding. However, he's just slipped out of position on the pink and left a very similar shot to what we've just seen Judd playing, but on the other side of the table. Obviously, he gets it and completes 3 total clearances. As I've just had a bit of practice with a similar shot, I'm hoping I'm going to find this a bit easier. And I think I did. It was a bit closer to the pocket though. Here's a shot from Judd I'm expecting to struggle with from the first round. Potting the green and screwing the cue ball back twice up and down the length of the table. Not really finishing on the brown, but we'll see what he does with that in a minute. To play this, I'm going to need to really get into the cue ball as well as possible and almost hit the green as hard as I possibly can. I'm really interested to see if this works on my table, but I'm going to give it a go whatever. I'm struggling to get into the cue ball enough to avoid the side cushion, and I'm playing it with a trace of left-hand side to help out with that. I'm not sure if this was what Judd was doing, but I'm having to do it out of necessity. I did initially try this with a light white, but found it really didn't work at all, as the cue ball screwed back too much to go down the table. So the only thing I've got to try it with is a regular cue ball, and I've got to get into it enough for this to work. I'm slowly getting closer, but I am a bit worried that by the time I put so much side and backspin on the cue ball, it won't be moving at any speed down the table. I have a feeling I'll be okay with it now if I can just pot the green. For whatever reason, I keep forcing it onto the far jaw, and when it does go in, not quite getting enough through the cue ball. I've got it here. This is about as well as I can play it, but unfortunately I can't reach the second cushion. It's ended up in about the same place though. Instead of attempting the pot on the brown from this position, Judd just doubles it, which is helpful to us, but he does play it with quite a bit of power, so I'm really going to have to make sure I get the line right here and control the cue ball round the angles for the blue. I think the double's gone in a little bit wide, but other than that, it's about as well as I could possibly play it. Up against that now is Ding, who's been a little bit unfortunate to finish out a position here when all the reds just landed in the wrong place. He's not worried by this and plays the double and gets the cue ball back down the table safe just in case he misses it. In theory, this should be a little bit easier than the previous one because of the lack of pace, but I missed my first attempt. I've got it on my second though, as well as the full ball cannon on the yellow, so cue the music. Although neither of these shots were that difficult, they were definitely good, but for different reasons, so they both get 3, but because the frame was still live, I'm making Ding this week's winner. Ding would have expected to be in better position than this after getting that double, so has to take on the long black. He manages to pot it and screw the cue ball back far enough for a red. This allows him to go on and win this frame, and then take the match by 5 frames to 0. Despite the difficulty of some of the shots so far, I think this is the first one I haven't been able to play with a regular cue ball, which is pretty good. I've just got to hit this then straight enough to be able to screw the cue ball back in line with the red. I keep potting this to the left hand side or right hand side of the pocket, or occasionally miscuing it like that, meaning I'm not quite getting the line right to get back for the red. I've also got to judge the pace, and this looks pretty good. Haven't quite gone far enough, but it's an easy enough pot in the middle. After Stan Moody's just missed the frame ball pink, Ryan Day's been left this half chance up into the corner pocket. Not only does he get it, but he manages to control the cue ball well enough to hold in position for the black. Not necessarily the hardest of shots, but when you understand the pressure involved in the situation, he plays it really well. Without anything like the pressure, I've managed to get it first time as well. I'm a little bit short for the black, but it should be an easy enough pot from this position. I've got it, and one attempt for the shot I'm really pleased with. On to the decider then, where Stan Moody's lost position cannoning into the green by mistake and left himself a tough shot off the bolt cushion. Despite this, he still manages to pot a long red and is able to take the green that's then over the pocket. He then goes on to win this deciding frame and obviously the match. Not a great start missing the ball altogether, especially when you consider it's not that thin. I did fluke it in the middle, but we're not counting those, so I'm going to have to find the right angle here and cut it in. That's a good correction after the first shot went so badly wrong. The cue ball's a little tiny bit short, but not too bad. On to yet another difficult Judd Trump pot now, as he knocks this one in against John Higgins and gets the cue ball back for the green. Judd would then go on to win this frame and take the match by 5 frames to 2. Yet again another difficult pot, and as I'm using a regular cue ball for this one, I'm going to have to get through it about as well as I can to generate the spin to get the cue ball back for the green. That's causing me to miss the pot by quite a long way on a few occasions, so I'm quite pleased to have got it so early. Digging down off the cushion, Zhu C manages to pot this long red and stun the cue ball around the back of the black. As we've already shown, he loses this match by 5 frames to 0 against Junhui, but it's still a good pot nonetheless, and it's one I have a feeling I might struggle with a little bit. Although I have got incredibly close to this one on my first attempt, but I've noticed at the same time I'm putting either too much backspin or side spin on the cue ball. So instead of heading around towards the yellow, I'm actually stunning it around past the blue. So I need to reduce the amount of side spin and backspin I'm playing the shot with, and I'm slightly struggling to get used to that. I'm getting closer again, but the white's still stunning too much, meaning I'm going to be cannoning into the blue or heading somewhere down that side of the table if I pot it. I've got the pot, but just as I expected, I've left too much spin on the cue ball and made contact with the blue, so I'm going to have to back it off again a little bit more. I've got down the table, not quite right, but it's about as close as I'm going to get without hitting the black. Guodong's taking a 3-0 lead against Sean Murphy now, and pots this red and develops the other one off the cushion at the same time. He also technically gets 2 out here. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that. I'll settle for just 1, but hopefully I do knock it on to a potable position as well. I nearly got the second red. The pace was about right, and I can't really argue about that from my first attempt. We've got a Jiahui Shot coming up next, right after we find JX Juster, who's in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Canada, which is there. And Jiahui's making one of his trademark comebacks. He's just got back to only 9 frames to 7 behind, and how about this for a plant? The 2 reds are nowhere near each other, and this requires an incredibly accurate shot. Not only that, he pots the long blue after this, as he doesn't finish in position on the black because one of the reds gets in the way. This is going to be more than a little bit tough. The gap between the 2 reds is absolutely massive, and the second one's nowhere near the pocket. I'm not sure there's much skill involved here. I'm just hitting the first red into the second one and hoping for the best, really. I thought I got it, and I'm getting a little bit closer, and it's finally gone in. I'm relieved about that because I never thought it was going to work. Just when it was starting to look in trouble though, Guodong plays this excellent snooker. I know a lot of you asked for me to actually have a go at this, and it's a really tough shot because you have to dig down at the cue ball and control the white in behind the green. This did eventually win Xiao the frame, so it's a really important shot, but it'd be interesting to see how quickly I can get the pace right. It is a little bit tricky playing the red into the cushion at the right angle, because if you hit it too straight it's going to collide with the blue, and I'm not 100% sure I can get the red in exactly the right place, but I desperately want to avoid the blue. The main problem I'm having is because I'm digging down at the shot, I keep generating too much backspin, but I finally got it right, and the reds ended up by the black spot. It's good enough that I can't actually hit the red, although this shot did take me a lot longer than expected. Well, that was pretty challenging all the way through, but you can vote for the winning shot using the link in the description. And don't forget to check out our recent videos, because these tournaments have been coming at us thick and fast recently, and there's a good chance you've missed something. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.